Well, the Paris Olympics descended into the ultimate farce overnight when a Taiwanese boxer with male chromosomes demolished her opponent in all 3 rounds to go through to the women's final. Lin Yu Ting joins Algeria's Amani Khalif, who also has male chromosomes and also made the final in her respected category. So 2 genetically male boxers going for gold. What an absolute joke. And how is this for the ultimate statement? The Turkish boxer, who was defeated by the Taiwanese athlete, made an X sign with her fingers after losing the bout, signalling XX chromosomes, aka female chromosomes. She is the second to make such a statement. And what a shame, she never got the chance to compete against another with XX chromosomes. Joining me now is Liberal Senator Claire Chandler. Claire, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's been confirmed 2 boxers with male chromosomes will go for gold. What's your reaction?
Well, I think it's incredibly disappointing to see these 2 boxers who we know have previously been disqualified from women's boxing competition being able to compete for, if not a gold, then definitely a silver medal in the women's boxing at the Olympics over this coming weekend. One will be playing on Saturday morning our time and one will be playing on Sunday morning. And frankly, I think the IOC has to hang their head in shame here. They have had these ridiculous policy settings for some years now that don't protect single-sex sport for women, and we are now seeing the sad reality of that playing out on the international stage.
Well, it's a complete farce. You know, I mean, the other day the IOC released a statement saying, oh, this is discrimination. Well, discrimination to who? How weak of an organisation is this, Claire, when they won't even or are not even willing to guarantee the safety of women?
Oh, it's incredibly weak on behalf of the IOC, and you only have to look at some of the protests that have been made, like you say, female athletes making the X sign after their boxing matches to signify the importance of this issue. And the interesting thing is that when you look at other world sporting authorities that have implemented single-sex policies for women's sport, they have surveyed female athletes. They have asked female athletes what they want to see in terms of these policy settings, and overwhelmingly the response from female athletes always is that the only way to ensure that women's sport is fair and safe for women is to ensure that it is single sex. So I think it's high time for the IOC to actually start listening to female athletes and reverse this ridiculous policy that they have that inclusion in sport should be on the basis of gender identity rather than biological sex, because it is that policy that is the #1 reason why they haven't undertaken sex testing on these boxing athletes.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. And have a look at some of the coverage of this issue. You pointed out on social media that the ABC has described this as an anti-trans war. Now, it appears that they've since changed that headline to a pile-on. But have a look at this quote. The far right ignited a hateful firestorm on social media, especially after public figures such as J.K. Rowling, the British author of children's fantasy series Harry Potter, joined the fray to levy anti-trans attacks. Claire, this is the way the ABC describes those who have raised legitimate concerns about this matter. They say it's ignited a hateful firestorm. What does that tell you?
Oh, it doesn't tell me anything new, frankly, Danica. I've been concerned for a very long time about the way the national broadcaster reports around these issues. Going back to the 2022 federal election, when this issue was obviously of some interest to the Australian public for some weeks of the campaign, and the way that the ABC completely miscategorised that debate was so inappropriate. Indeed, I wrote to the chair of the ABC, Ida Buttrose, at the time to point out to her just how ridiculous this was. So I'm not surprised to see the way that the ABC have been reporting around this issue this week. And honestly, it's factually inaccurate to describe this as an anti-trans war or anything of that nature. The athletes that we're talking about at the Olympics, these 2 athletes in boxing, aren't transgender. They are athletes that have, we call them DSD athletes, a difference in sex development. So they're completely conflating issues here. steer for their own interests, and I think it's disappointing from the national broadcaster. Absolutely.
Yeah, it certainly is. Claire, do you think half the battle now is that people are so scared or unwilling to be able to define what a woman is? I mean, originally it was so clear cut. Now you've got a case where boxers have to go on a gender eligibility test just to decide whether or not they are indeed women. Has it just become so murky that it's impossible to tell these days?
Oh, quite frankly, I don't think it's murky at all, Danica. I don't think this is a complex issue. If the IOC had a clear-cut policy which says that women's sport is for individuals of the female sex, we would not be in the current situation that we're in.
No, that's the thing. That's what I mean. You know, it shouldn't be murky, but it's become complicated by the left who keep peddling these terms of no, anyone can be a woman, or as the IOC says, it's on your passport, so there you go, you're fine. Claire Chandler, good to have you on. Thank you so much for joining me on the show this evening.